everyone, welcome back to Life After Neverland. My name is Corinne. Today we are on chapter 13 of our Revealing Revelation Bible study. And today we're covering the third interlude, part 2, the Antichrist comes to power. Whoa, so today is going to be a very heavy lesson. On Wednesday, we dive deeper in our lesson, so we cover our workbook. Those of you that have been joining me consistently throughout all of this, I'd love to know how you feel about this study. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, if you're getting anything from it, if you've learned new things, and if you're excited about our new study that we're going to be doing once we finalize this one, which is called Has the Tribulation Begun? So today my husband and I are in Georgia because, as you know, those of you that have been watching for a while, my husband loves the Packers, and they just so happen to be playing I'm here for the good times. What is the team?
Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons. So we'll show you some footage from that and take you along our journey today. But as always, we do our Bible study. We take our Bible study with us. So thanks for joining me. If you're joining us for the very first time, please check out our playlist. We have a Bible study playlist as well as a workbook study playlist. You can start all the way from the beginning and catch up with us. We'd really appreciate it. We also have books available. So if you would like a workbook as well as a book, please let me know. You can send me an email and I'd be happy to send you one. Just don't forget to send me your address. So without further ado, let's get our book study started. The third interlude, part 2, the Antichrist comes to power. We're on Revelation 13. Wow. I feel like the world is unfolding in such a way that we're looking at the beast system being built currently, right now, and it's just a matter of time before the Antichrist signs that covenant with many. Make sure you click on the notification bell because I like to send you information that's happening in the world right now that relates to our study. Keep your eye out for the Sustainable Development Goals Summit 2023. Starting today and the rest of this week, this is going to be a big topic. Many people believe that there is a possibility that this is going to be a peace agreement that could be signed, a covenant with many. So please keep your eyes out for that. It's a very hot topic between watchmen and biblical scholars, okay? All right, moving on. The Antichrist. Is there any name on earth other than Satan or Lucifer that causes as much fear? For many, it's like saying bath time to a dog. The dog just wants to run and hide, and rightfully so. The Antichrist will fully live to the hype that his name invites. He will be a servant of Satan, and he will serve his master well. It's no wonder that the name most often given for him is the quite descriptive moniker, Beast. In fact, Beast is found 37 times in the book of Revelation and 7 times in Daniel. With the Old Testament prophet, it will sometimes refer to a specific nation, other times a person. In Revelation, beast is used exclusively for an individual. For example, in Revelation 13:1-2, I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The arrival of the Antichrist. Many years ago, there was a movie made about a monster that came up out of the water and attacked people. The green creature from the Black Lagoon looked to be part fish and part lizard, and sported lips that appeared to have been enhanced by the worst of California's plastic surgeons. If the Antichrist is going to use his looks and charisma to win the hearts of the world, then chances are his rising up out of the sea is going to look quite a bit different than that of the Hollywood monster. What does John mean when he says that the beast will come out of the sea? Once again, we must compare scripture with scripture to understand the symbolism here. Daniel linked beasts and the sea when he wrote, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven, were stirring up the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The 4 beasts Daniel saw are 4 Gentile empires: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. Once again, these kingdoms did not literally rise out of the water, particularly the first 2, which were not seafaring by nature. A look back to Revelation helps us to understand both of these nations' origins and the beasts. An angel who was explaining a vision to John said, Revelation 17:15, "The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues." Wow. Because this meeting is basically that I just mentioned to you that's happening this week. The sea in Daniel 7 and the waters here in Revelation are the same thing. They are Gentile nations from which will come empires and the Antichrist. How is it that what we're reading is like correlating with a lot of the things that are being discussed and talked about right now that's happening in the world? It's just blowing my mind. Each of the empires mentioned in the book of Daniel treated people in a beastly manner. They ruled the world brutally. Whatever their despots said was treated as law. This will be true of the beast who is yet to come. Some may wonder, why does John call him the beast? It's not like he doesn't know the name Antichrist. That's a good question, especially considering that John wrote in his first letter, "Little children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that it is the last hour." We need to remember that we're in a symbolic portion of Revelation, where John is seeing images that are representative of reality, but not necessarily real themselves. When John is shown the Antichrist, he describes him as a beast, because that is a perfect description of the character of this unholy person. The beast that rose out of the sea was quite unusual in appearance, like the dragon in Revelation 12:3. He had 7 heads and 10 horns. This also harkens back to a beast that Daniel wrote about who similarly had 10 horns. Daniel 7:7. "After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. John, however, goes deeper in his description, saying the beast was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. Once again, Daniel parallels the imagery. We saw Daniel's 4th beast with 10 horns. What about the previous 3 beasts? Daniel 7:4-6. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. And suddenly another beast, a second, like a bear. It was raised up on one side and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I looked, and there was another, like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a bird. I'm trying to picture all of this. How about you guys? But wait, Amir. Either Daniel or John got the order of the beasts wrong. They are exactly reversed. Once again, I must commend you for your astute observations. But remember that Daniel's vision looks forward. Babylon, the lion, had already come. The next to rise would be Medo-Persia, the bear, then Greece, the leopard, and finally the 4th beast with the 10 horns, which was Rome. John, however, looks backward. This is not the future for him, it is history. So he starts with the most recent and lists the creatures in reverse. What about the 7 heads and the 10 horns? Again, these are referring to Gentile nations. Yeah, I feel like they're already forming. Let me know in the comment section if you agree, if you think they're possibly already forming now. The 7 heads are 7 sequential kings, and the 10 horns are a royal confederacy. How do we know that? Let's check our context. Later in Revelation, an angel speaks to John and says, Revelation 17, 9 through 12, "Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is the 7th, and is going to perdition. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast." So we see that the Antichrist will rise out of the Gentile nations and will be given power by Satan himself, the dragon. He is symbolized as a beast, due both to the unrighteousness of his character and the violence of his actions. The Antichrist is the final in the succession of secular rulers spoken of by both Daniel and John, and his kingdom will be the last before Jesus returns to earth to reign from Jerusalem. The fatal wound. The 4th beast in Daniel is the Roman Empire. It was different from the others, and it is out of this empire that the horns arise. In some manner or form, the power and influence of the Roman Empire is going to be revived at the time of the tribulation. It is from this coming European conglomeration that the Antichrist will emerge. Revelation 13, 3 through 4. "I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, 'Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him?'" Here we read about an incident with the beast that has caused much speculation. One of its heads is fatally wounded, but then either he somehow survives or is brought back to life. Does this mean that the Antichrist himself will be wounded or killed in an assassination attempt? Could this be some kind of fake death and resurrection in order to garner sympathy and support or to boost his credentials? Or could this be saying that the revived Roman Empire will experience a fatal wound? From the English text, it is difficult to tell, but the Greek wording is very similar to what was said about the lamb looking as though it had been slain. Jesus was literally slain and then resurrected from the dead. It is quite possible that the Antichrist will want to mimic a similar event in order to gain the awe and reverence of the masses, and through deception will accomplish this objective. There is also a strong potential that the Antichrist will actually be killed and later resurrected. How can that be, you may ask? Only God has the power to give life to the dead. That is true. But remember what Jesus said to his disciples. False Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. In the last days, there are going to be works and wonders so powerful that even the elect can be fooled. God has given power and authority on this earth to Satan for a time, and we don't know the extent of what he has granted. It is certainly within the realm of possibility that the alive, dead, alive scenario will be exactly what it appears to be. This resurrection will cause the world to marvel at the beast and eventually worship him. Strong delusion will penetrate the world, and the Jews in particular. People everywhere will become convinced that this is the promised Messiah. They will raise up new gods to follow, the dragon and the beast. Revelation 13, 5 through 10. He was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given to him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Notice in this passage that the phrases was given and was granted to him are used multiple times. The Antichrist has no power in himself. He is not some demigod or mighty angelic being. And we did talk about that before in our prior vlog. So hopefully you guys have watched that, because we talked about that in depth. Any authority and influence he has is only that which has been bestowed upon him, and will only be for a time, 42 months, or 1,260 days, or 3.5 years, otherwise known as time, times, and half a time. During that period, he will have the power to slander God and the saints in heaven, make war against the saints on earth and conquer them, and cause all the inhabitants on the earth to worship him. The authority will be allowed by God, but it will come directly from Satan. The Antichrist will be a puppet controlled and empowered by the devil himself. It is during the first 3.5 years of the tribulation that he will come to power. The armies of Russia, Turkey, Iran, Sudan, Libya, and other nations that seek to plunder Israel will be defeated. This great defeat will provide an opening for the Antichrist to come as a peacemaker. As a result, his dominion will be global. And what's really crazy about what's happening right now is that Saudi Arabia is in speaking terms with Israel, trying to find a peace agreement. They're talking about peace and safety right now. It's insane. It's insane. All eyes on Israel. Okay, all eyes on Israel right now. Whoa. During the final 3.5 years of the tribulation, the Antichrist will turn from a peacemaker to a peace taker. He will set himself up in the new temple in Jerusalem and will demand worship from the citizens of the world, who will fall for the lies of the Antichrist and bow down before him. The answer quite simply is everyone. John wrote that everyone whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world will take a knee before the global leader. What is the book of life? It is where God has listed all those who belong to him, those who are part of his family. Isn't it amazing to think that if you have given your life to Jesus Christ, it is because your name was written in the Lamb's book before you were ever born? Woo! I literally have goosebumps. What a blessed thought. Isn't it though? Seriously. Ephesians 1:3-4. Paul wrote, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places in Christ, just as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love." The false prophet. At this point, for all those who thought that one beast was already more than enough, the world is about to get double the trouble. A new beast arrives on the scene. Revelation 13:11-15. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, is this AI? I wonder if that could be AI. What do you guys think? I don't know. I mean, we can only speculate because this is just so big to comprehend. It isn't until chapter 16 that we are given the identity of this new beast. He is the false prophet. This beast 2.0 will come with great signs and wonders, even calling fire down from the sky. Humanity will ooh and ah and be ready to do whatever the false prophet tells them to do. Once the false prophet has them where he wants them, he'll give them 2 tasks. First, make an image of the Antichrist. Second, worship it. That's what I'm saying. Like, is the image AI? I don't know. Because already, do you see? I mean, when you look around in the world, everyone has their phone in their hand constantly all the time. I'm guilty of it too. Look, we're all guilty of it, okay? How much farther is technology going to go? Because it's already going cray-cray in my eyes, okay? It is here that the rule of the Antichrist moves from autocracy to theocracy. No longer will he be content to be followed as a great man. He will now demand to be worshipped as the all-powerful God. Little g. Beast worship will not be a choice. It will be demanded as the new one world religion. Freedom of worship will be gone. I see this all falling away, guys. Because I do think the new world religion is something like maybe this. Yeah. Freedom of expression will be removed. Freedom of the press will no longer exist. I mean, yeah, it's already starting. It's building. This is already taking form. And that's why I want to do this study and continue on with this topic of conversation, simply because I don't think it's something that we can fathom actually happening, because we've lived, especially being an American, we've been free for a very long time. In all honesty, I think we've been very spoiled. And a lot of things are happening right now where this is very slowly getting taken away. It's by design, because if it happened just like that, mass chaos would happen. So I just really want people to think about this, if you haven't already. And again, those of you who are on my channel watching and you've been so supportive, thank you. If there's anything that you see that we're doing here and you feel it in your heart to share, I would be so grateful. Thank you so much. Okay. If there's any other people that you think might get something out of this, Okay, where was I? Everyone will have to fall 100% in line with the demands of the government order as led by the Antichrist. Imagine what it will be like for believers during this time. They'll huddle up in their homes for secret worship services. Others will clandestinely meet out in the woods to express their praise to God. Countless thousands will lose their jobs. They'll be reduced to begging on the streets, where they will be beaten and spit upon because they have not followed the government's orders. Though they will have much to look forward to after death, there will be very little to look forward to before death. The mark of the beast. And now it comes, the moment we deal with the most infamous trio of numbers in the history of the world. Revelation 13:16 through 18. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on the right hand or on the foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So much has been speculated about when it comes to the mark of the beast. The number 666 is used throughout popular entertainment's horror genre. Goths paint it on their clothing. Satanists tattoo it on their knuckles. Online preachers drop it into their sermon titles to boost their views. But what does that short sequence of numbers really mean? Let's look at the facts. First, this is not speaking of a Roman emperor's name. There are those, many of whom are in the camp that says that Revelation took place around AD 70, who have looked at the numbers and sought to find their equivalent in Hebrew or Latin or Greek. They've then taken those letters, compared them with the emperors, then said, aha! The problem is that, like the historicists we spoke of in this book's Welcome, if you put 12 numerologists in 12 different rooms, they'll come back with 12 different emperors. As we've said before, you just can't fit a backward-looking allegorical peg into a future-looking literal hole. The context of this passage has its eyes on what is yet to come. There is nothing about a one religion worldwide worship of an image representing a global leader that even remotely fits any time in history. Twisting and contorting at that level is beyond even the most flexible of Olympic gymnasts. The number 666, or possibly 616, according to some early Greek manuscripts, is most likely referring to the future Antichrist. What exactly do those numbers mean? It's another one of the mysteries of this most intriguing of books. If God has left blank the final word in the sentence, the 666 guy is, fill in the blank, then we shouldn't waste too much brain power in speculation. Still, so many people run down the rabbit hole of this creepy number and miss the overall point of the passage. This chapter is about two people who will rise up and take over the world. Rather than turning people to the worship of the living God, they will force the worship of the Antichrist. Those who don't worship his image will be put to death. To show loyalty to the beast, people will have to receive his mark. Without this identifier of allegiance to the Antichrist, a person will not be able to buy or sell. It will be a horrible time in which believers will suffer greatly through violence, poverty, and starvation. As for those who accept the mark, they will not only live under an oppressive government, but they will experience all the other judgments as God's wrath is poured out on the planet. It is human nature to want to control others. There's no greater evidence of this than in governments. Governments want power, and they usually get it by force or, as in many democracies, by deceit and by making promises to people that they never plan on fulfilling. It is this next chapter we will see governmental power at its worst, because the end game is not just political, but spiritual. So I hope you guys found this interesting today, and just how parallel what we're reading here is literally happening right before our eyes. It is building up. It is being created. And I just want to leave you with the thought that these things cannot happen overnight. People won't accept it. There's no way that we can live the way that we've been living and people are like, okay, let's do it like this. It has to happen slowly. Because what do they call this? The great deception. And the things that we've been learning about Satan is that he is a liar. He steals and he comes to destroy and kill. And what did he do to Adam and Eve? If you think back when we talked about some of those things just briefly as we've been going through this study, how he deceived them and essentially put an entire stain on humanity. So stay with me through this. We still have quite a few chapters left. On Wednesday we'll be doing the workbook. We'll probably split it up into two. because they can get pretty long. So I'm going to try to get everything out on Wednesdays and Fridays now, so that we can take things in small pieces and really consume them and get the most out of it. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. Thank you again for joining me. Let me know that you stopped by in the comments section. I'd like to know. I saw some new people popping in and leaving comments. Thank you and welcome. And again, much appreciation to those of you who have been so consistent and so supportive this whole entire time. Now, next week, what we're going to be covering is the third interlude, part 3, previews of things to come. So things are really heating up and getting very interesting here. Some of you guys are very kind, Kathy in particular, to send me videos that you might see online that have to do with the times that we're living in. I love it. Thank you so much. I have been, as you can see, traveling the past couple of weeks, and so be patient with me. I will get to your messages, and I appreciate them greatly. So with that being said, God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful beginning to your week, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Ta-ta for now. I'm so loud. Okay. I hate it when I get the giggles. They ruled. You're done.
Didn't do anything.